Welcome in to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Excited for today's show, folks. I've got a great guest today who was forwarded to me by Alan Warren, good friend of the show. He said to me, Tim, you're going to love today's guest. You're going to love the fact that not only does he have great stories of the New York Police Department, they are entertaining stories as well. I think you're going to love today's show. I got the chance to read this book from this author today, from cover to cover. I covered it very quickly because this book runs quickly and it is entertaining, folks. I think you're going to love this guest. In fact, I know you're going to love him so much. I've already asked him to come back. That's how confident I am you're going to love today's guest. Our guest is Vic Ferrari. He has a book out there called NYPD, Presumption and Dysfunction. So you know you're going to love today's book already. Vic has some very entertaining stories about the New York Police Department and the auto theft division. I believe that's what the division is, although he went through a couple of different divisions. We're going to talk to him about the different divisions that he went through, but the New York Police Department fascinates me. So I'm going to bring Vic in here in a second. I just want to tell you a little bit about him. Author Vic Ferrari is a retired New York City Police Department detective with the hamstrings of a 20-year-old, it says here. A survivor of an Irish father and Italian mother, Vic loves a cold beer and insists on you removing your shoes when entering his home when he's not writing. He's picking up after his neurotic Irish wolfhound. There we go. Always looking to save a buck. Vic splits his time between his Branson, Missouri and Papua New Guinea homes. To hear more of Vic's NYPD stories, check out his podcast, NYPD Through the Looking Glass, which we will put a link in the description of this program for. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome in for the first time to Darkness Radio and True Crime Tuesday, Vic Ferrari. Hi, Vic. How you doing?
Tim, thank you so much for having me on your show. You kind of built me up there. I hope I can live up to this.
Oh, absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. The book is amazing. I love someone with a sense of humor. I love someone who not only faces adversity and has a sense of humor as well, but someone who can go through a grind and have a sense of humor. The NYPD, let's face it, it goes through it. That is the city in which you have the most amount of crime, face the most amount of adversity. You have it the roughest, but yet you have a sense of humor and manage to smile and go through it every single day. My first question to you, my friend, is this: how do you manage to do it?
Well, I always wanted to become a New York City police officer and later detective since the age of 5. I knew that's what I wanted to do. When I was a little boy, my mother used to take me to the movies on Saturday. There was a movie theater around the corner from the police station, and I was more interested in what was going on at the police station than was at the movie theater. I would always look inside the police cars and the equipment. I'd watch how the cops talk to each other outside the precinct. And every little boy, let's face it, gets focused on that gun. And I said, I want one of those things, and I want to chase the bad guys. So it was like, even through high school, my parents wanted me to go to college. I would have none of it. As a little boy, my friends and I, like 10, 11 years old, we would sneak into the post office and steal FBI wanted posters. Mm-hmm. And then we would go around the neighborhood conducting manhunts. So I didn't know what it would be like to be a New York City police officer, but it wasn't like I just took the job because it was a job, if that makes any sense. I had no doubt in my mind that I was going to do at least a 20-year career there. And you're right, to survive in that environment, you have to be able to compartmentalize things. Even, on your darkest days and you're saddled with something awful, you got to say to yourself, you know what, this is bad. It really sucks, but I got to fight through this, and tomorrow will be another day.
It takes a lot sometimes. In some careers, it takes a lot to get up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and continue and go on. And that has to be one of those careers. But I tell you, one of the things I saw in your book, and I kind of smiled when I saw that, is that, you have a section where you talk about meeting your heroes, and there's one bit in there where you talk about the French Connection and the whole meeting people who in real life who inspire different movies. To me, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the French Connection and meeting the actual people behind the French Connection, because to me, that's fascinating. I love that movie. and to
Yes.
actually meet the people behind the inspiration for French Connection had to be something else. And you talk about growing up wanting to be a police officer and the story behind the French Connection. Tell me about meeting some of the people behind the inspiration for that.
Yeah, as a little boy, I grew up watching all, true crime shows and the French Connection, the Seven Ups, the 1970 cop movies, Dirty Harry. But what resonated with me was the French Connection because it was all about the New York City Police Department and the detectives that were involved in it. I must have seen the movie a million times. So it was later in my career, probably about 2004, I turned to my partner and I said, one of the detectives by the name of Sonny Grasso, who later became a movie producer, I go, he's got to be pushing 80. I says, we have the means to find this guy. I want to find, I want, and my partner said, yeah, that would be great. And he had an office in Midtown Manhattan. And we went up to his office and his secretary says, do you have an appointment? I said, no, we're just NYPD detectives that want to meet Sonny. He came out laughing, brought us into his office. And I mean, I was like a kid in a candy store. He's just going on and on about Eddie Egan and how the drugs disappeared out of the evidence room and all these crazy stories. And I told him I was thinking about writing an NYPD book later. And, after I retired, he goes, just do this. He goes, don't get anybody divorced and don't get anybody in trouble. So I said, that's pretty good advice. And again, I was thrilled to meet him. And then years later, I get into writing. I'm retired, and now I have a podcast. And I interviewed this. He's 93 years old. His name is Joe Cirillo. He wrote a book, An Offer I Couldn't Refuse: My Trip to Hollywood. So he was an NYPD cop. He becomes, and he's in the movie Ghostbusters, and he's in a million and one movies. I interviewed him, and he was such a nice guy. And I said, if you have any guests, and he goes, I don't. Do you know who Sonny Jurgensen is? I said, yeah. I says, of course. I said, he's an NYPD legend. He was involved in the French Connection as well. He goes, well, let me give you his phone number. And the next thing you know, I'm talking to, Randy Jurgensen on the phone, and he was nice enough to be a guest on my show. And again, I felt like a child, talking to like a childhood hero, and I was fortunate because they always say you'll be disappointed if you meet your heroes. And sometimes that's true, but it wasn't in this case.
That's amazing. Now, Joe Cirillo was in Godfather as well, wasn't he?
Yes, he was in the wedding scene, but his part got cut out, got edited out in that large wedding scene.
Yeah.
His daughter was supposed to be in Godfather 2, was supposed to be the daughter of the guy in the movie theater that Don Fanucci puts a knife to her throat. So, but
Yeah.
then they cast another woman in it. So yeah, he's got a million and one Hollywood stories.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You're right about that. The whole thing about, well, you never want to meet your heroes. It's not necessarily true. I've been lucky enough through 18 years of doing this show and then another 30 years total, 30, actually 33 now of being in radio and podcasting, of being able to meet a lot of people who I've looked up to and admired. And I think I've maybe had, to be honest with you, maybe two handfuls of bad experiences of people that I've admired. And that's not a lot. I mean, generally when you meet people that you've admired, you're pleasantly surprised and you get good experiences out of it. So I think it's well worth it. So that's a good thing. One of the stories out of the book is actually, I think, kind of an honest. You talk about going to get a favor from a brother in blue, and you talk about actually seeing a wanted poster, which I think is kind of an interesting story. And one of the stories I wanted to ask you about, and it talks a little bit about that conundrum in life, and you talk about wanted posters and seeing wanted posters as a kid and being fascinated with wanted posters, but it also talks about you were doing a favor for a girlfriend's brother at the time, which I understand that could be sticky, doing favors
Oh yeah.
for family as well. But it was the lesson behind. There's a deeper lesson behind it. I don't want to tell the story for you. I'd rather you do that, Vic. But tell me a little bit about wanted posters first, and then I want to jump into the story and have you tell the story. And what was it about wanted posters as you were growing up that grabbed your attention, especially maybe even FBI posters?
Yeah. So, like I was saying earlier, I knew I always wanted to be a cop, but the only thing I could touch were those wanted posters. When you think about it, I mean, I could watch it on TV, I could watch movies, I could watch the cops in the precinct. But when I used to get my hands on those wanted posters, we would go into the post office and pull them off the wall, or sometimes take the whole damn clipboard, and we'd go around the neighborhood, going into delis and stuff with a wanted poster from a guy in West Virginia for a bank robbery, and there's some poor construction worker getting a sandwich, and we're looking at him up and down. We're 10 years old. But it was the thing I could touch. And then when I became a cop and then later a detective, a couple of people went to jail based on me studying wanted posters. I would always do it when if I had some downtime and I was answering phones for the day. I would just grab the wanted posters and just go through them and the crimes they did, and I'd get a good look at their face. And a couple of times it paid off, where I was able to lock somebody up based on staring at a wanted poster.
Now, in that particular story that you're talking about, you had to do it. We talk about, can you do me a favor? And this is the chapter that you're talking about. Can you do me a favor? It had to be wearing on you to hear, can you do me a favor, from a lot of different friends, family, and whatnot. In this particular case, it was a girlfriend's brother that tried to get you to do a favor for him. Explain from there what the favor was that led you to this particular, I don't want to say run-in, but a particular meeting with a brother in blue that got you interested in this particular wanted poster, which was an interesting wanted poster, and a meeting with a brother in blue that came up with an interesting story, a very interesting story with a particular wanted poster, which you find out that you end up on different sides of the law sometimes. And it turns out that life is funny sometimes.
Oh, definitely. So I was staying at my girlfriend's parents' house down at the Jersey Shore, and her brother the night before had gotten a couple of moving violations, and they towed his car. They took it from him. And I tried getting out of him. Well, what did you say to the cop? What did you do? Nothing, 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 nothing. And there's always three sides to a story: what he said, what she said, what's in the middle. So I wasn't getting anything out of him. And my girlfriend begged me, can you do something? So we went to the tow yard. It was a holiday weekend. Tow yard's closed. So we go to this little police department on the Jersey Shore, and it looked like something out of a Norman Rockwell painting. Like NYPD precincts are built with that brutalistic architecture, everything. It looks like a fortress. This place, like I wrote in the book, I was expecting Martha Stewart to come out and serve me some cookies. So I go inside, and I walk into this sergeant's office, and I'm explaining to him what happened. And on the wall above him, where he's got his diplomas and accreditations, there's a wanted poster framed of Arthur Lee Washington. And Arthur Lee Washington was a member of the Black Liberation Army in the 1970s. He was a state trooper, tried to pull him over in Asbury Park. Arthur Lee Washington jumped out with a handgun, got into a gunfight, and he's never been seen since. He went underground. They presume he's dead by now. But anyway, this is about 17, 18 years ago, when his wanted poster was on the wall. And that incident had happened like 15 years earlier. So as this really nice Jersey Shore Police Department sergeant is going through his Rolodex, he's going to call the towing company and see if he can get the car out for me. I ask him about the wanted poster, and he says, "Oh, how do you know who that is?" And I explained to him, like we were just talking about, yeah, I'm a wanted poster guy, always was. And he says, "Grew up with him." And I said, "Oh, that makes sense, because he's from the Jersey Shore." And he goes into, they played CYA basketball together. They dated sisters, and he was going on and on. Like it reminded me, there was a kid that lived two doors down from me that we were very tight until he went one way and I went the other way. Only thing is, this guy became a member of the Black Liberation Army and tried to kill a cop. And it dawned on me that this cop had taken this very personal, and he wasn't going to let this go. And if he saw this guy, he was going to try to bring him in. So I was just fascinated, and I think he would have done me the favor anyway. But I think he enjoyed the fact that I recognized the wanted poster. I knew the history behind this man, and I was curious about it. And he made a phone call, and he told. So what's funny is, this sergeant of the small police department is black, and he calls up the tow company. He says, "It's for a family member." He goes, "I'm going to send him over." So I go over to the towing company place, and the tow company guy is looking at me. He goes, "The place is closed." I said, "No, Sergeant sent me over. He goes, I thought it was family. I go, we are brother from another mother. So that's kind of how that went down. There's more to that story, but
There is more to the story, and I encourage people to pick up the book. Again, the book is NYPD Presumption and Dysfunction. We have a link to it in the description of this program, which is incredibly funny to have the tow driver to show up. And again, it was a holiday, which he was off, but came over kind of begrudgingly to come get the car for you. It's but it's kind of fascinating, Vic, that this sergeant, was he a sergeant? I
yeah.
believe, right? Yeah, a sergeant would take such an interest in the fact that you were interested in their story, which I thought was really cool, and went above and beyond to help you out. I thought that was really cool as well. I want to dig a little bit into your history. There's an interesting story in the book, pot roast and potpourri, having to do with your parents, in the fact that I think your mother probably probably taught your tenacity. Would that be right, or taught you your tenacity more than anything?
Probably. Yeah, there's probably something to that.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what the name of pot roast and potpourri comes from?
Yeah, I towards the end of my career, I had an apartment in a building down the block from my parents' house. And it was a good way of me keeping an eye on my parents because they were getting up there in age, but I had absolutely no privacy whatsoever because they monitored my comings and goings as a late 30s, early 40-year-old man. So one day I stopped by on a Sunday for dinner. And as I'm leaving, my mother's like, oh, we'll take some pot roast and some potatoes. I'm like, Ma, I work out of a car. I'm not a brown paper bag kind of guy. Just, oh, you don't like my pot roast? And I'm like, all right, give me some pot roast. So she puts it in this little Tupperware thing, and she says, now I want this back. And I go, what do you think I'm going to do with it? She said, don't be a smart ass. I want it back. I said, all right. I go 2 doors down. I throw this thing in the fridge. Next day, I work a couple hours overtime. I eat on the road. I come home. Didn't get a chance to get to it. But when I come through the door, my answer machine is blinking. And it's my mother saying, you really got to bring this back. And I says, is she kidding me? So then a couple of days later, I think I got the story back. One time there was a note put on the door for this thing. The next time there was a phone call for this thing. And I got pissed. I'm like, my mother was like Dog the Bounty Hunter when you borrowed something from her. Like she would not let it go. So probably I just started ignoring her. And about the third or fourth day, I came home late again. And as I'm going, it was a basement apartment, so I had to go down some steps. And as I come down the stairs, I see a body coming from behind me, and it's my father. And he goes, I want that goddamn Tupperware. Like it was like a home invasion. I said, I could have shot you. And he goes, I'd be better off you did. He goes, come on, open the door. So we go into the apartment, and I'm taking out the pot roast, and I'm dumping, because by now it's no good. And I'm dumping it in the garbage. My father goes, what are you doing? I said, he goes, nah, just don't worry about that shit. Just give me the goddamn Tupperware. And he goes, your mother's been driving me nuts about this. I said, Dad, I'm sorry. He goes, don't be sorry. Just the next time your mother wants to lend you something, tell her no.
Eerily, Vic, that reminds me a lot of my family members. I laughed so hard when I read that story because it reminds me of certain members of my family. It really does. I think you touched a nerve in many families when they read that passage.
Well, I'll tell you, it's like, so they live 2 doors down. Another time, the story in another one of my books, my father and I have the same name. And
Okay.
ironically enough, the same date of birth.
Really?
So, yeah. So one day I was coming home. And no, one day, I was coming home. My father goes, I got something for you. And he throws a letter that's already been opened at me. And I go, why are you opening my mail? He goes, well, it's for you. I thought it was for me. And I opened it up, and they had just started, New York City had just started those red light cameras.
Mm-hmm.
It snaps a photo. So if you go through a red light in New York, there's a camera, snaps a photo. And what they do is they mail a summons to the home of the registered owner of the vehicle. So my father gets this letter in the mail and thinks it's for me. And he goes, Johnny Law. He goes, you can't be going through red lights. And just because he's laughing, he goes, you got hit with a $40 ticket, whatever it was back then. And I'm looking at it, and it's his car. And it's him. And I go, well, I don't got to pay for it. This is yours. And I give it to him. He goes, what? What is this? And then he starts going nuts. I can't. Then he's asking me, can I get him out of the ticket, like favors for family? I'm like, Dad, I can't get you out of this. This is New York City Department of Traffic. This has nothing to do with the NY. And he was pissed.
Oh, wow. So how bad of a conundrum is that when he's pushing you to get him out of it? And I mean, how hard would you have had to have tried if you really wanted to get him out of it? Could you have
I
gotten,
couldn't have. No, it had nothing to do with the NYPD. It's the New York City Department of Traffic.
huh? And those are two totally different divisions. Not a nothing. Okay.
No, it'd be like going to the fire department. Get me out of a ticket. They can't do anything for you.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. Because I mean, we always assume. I mean, as lay people, we always assume that there's got to be something you can do, right? There's got to be a little.
In the old days, listen, before everything went computerized, in the old days, guys would do things like that, but it could backfire.
Yeah.
It could certainly backfire because they had a summons scandal in the Bronx probably about 10 years after I retired where they were looking to lock people up. But what I found ironic was we used to pull over district attorneys all the time, sometimes after a couple of cocktails and like, all right, you're almost home. Like we didn't really, I was stuck in a DUI unit for a while, which I absolutely hated. But if you weren't in a DUI unit in the 80s and 90s, we didn't make a lot of DUI or DWI arrests because there was just too much going on. Like we would call people a cab or throw their keys in the woods. It was just too much going on to get involved in that nonsense.
Was it I'm trying to remember the documentary I watched. Was it the 70s that they had the big scandal in? Was it the Bronx?
They had a big corruption scandal. The whole New York City Police Department had a scandal in the early 1970s, which created what was called the Knapp Commission, which was to root out police corruption. And if you ever watched the movie Serpico,
yes,
but that was before my time. Now, I got hired in 1987. There were people that were around in that time period. I got hired. There were still some Vietnam guys, hanging around after I got, and it was just a different mindset from when I got hired.
Did you work with a lot of those guys, and were they that were around during that time? And what was the attitude of those guys when they?
Not a lot. Like my first precinct was a South Bronx hellhole. If you ever watched the movie Fort Apache, The Bronx with Paul Newman and Ed Asner, that was supposed to be filmed in the 4-1 precinct. But by the time they made that movie, Fort Apache had become Little House on the Prairie because it was all burnt out. So they actually filmed the movie Fort Apache, The Bronx in my first precinct, the 4-2. The 4-2 was a dumping ground. It was either you screwed up somewhere or you were a rookie cop and didn't know anybody to go to a favorable precinct. So yeah, there was some bitter not Vietnam guys around, and they just played by a different set of rules. And then later on, about 2-3 years later, I went to the 50th precinct in Riverdale, which was a nice area, but there were a lot of those guys left. But they had a different mindset than the South Bronx guys. The South Bronx guys just didn't seem to be able to get out of their own way. The guys up in the 5-0 were they were in their last couple of years and they were going to try to make as much overtime as they could to pad their pensions. But it was weird when I got to that precinct seeing guys like my father's age and older. I'm like a 23, 24-year-old kid, and there's guys in their early 60s still working in an NYPD precinct. You don't see that anymore. Guys don't hang around as much like they used to, but they did. They hung around. Really, it was a lot of people with gray hair, and it just was something to see. Like, wow, that guy was a cop when I was a little boy or before I was born.
It must have made it tough, especially if you're, well, a young buck, so to speak, and you're trying to make a name for yourself, and you've got older cops hanging around that are just looking for retirement, and you're trying to actually do something on the street, and it seems like they're coasting to retirement.
Yeah, and it wasn't always the old timers like you would think, like the dinosaurs with 20, 30 years on. I worked in a place early on, and it was guys with between 5 and 10 years on, and they were lazy. And I was setting the world on fire, making a lot of arrests, and they would try to, intimidate me or bully me in the locker room or make comments. See, in the NYPD, it's very cliquish. And the quickest way to fall out of favor is you get a couple of big mouths that just kind of paint you with a brush. And then it's almost like the movies. You go in, nobody really talks to you. Nobody wants to get into a car with you. But, I didn't care. I knew I wasn't doing anything wrong. I knew this was my path. And I said to myself, am I going to listen to this fool that's got 10 years in and he's driving around in circles in a precinct? Or am I going to get out of here and go to a specialized unit and do what I want to do? So I never really listened to it. I heard it, but I never really let it sink in.
Did you have an idea all along when you first got into the NYPD of what specialized unit you wanted to be in? Or was it just kind of one of those things when you started your career, you kind of felt things out and you kind of went where the wind blew?
I had no idea. But here's the thing. I grew up in a neighborhood where stealing a car was a rite of passage. Probably my neighborhood had more car thieves per capita than anywhere in the world. Then I worked in a gas station as a teenager, and there was always guys blowing through there with stolen cars, getting gas, trying to sell the car, trying to get us to fix the car, trying to sell parts off the car. So I had a leg up as far as what to look for with a stolen car. So I was always the guy in the precinct very early on making stolen car arrests. I was always getting involved in car chases. And the auto larceny unit hated me. There were guys in that auto larceny unit. They're like, you're making your arrest and you're making us look bad by making 3, 4 stolen car arrests a month. And sometimes they wanted me to hand them over. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I realized that I was a car guy and I made other arrests too. And then I learned later on, you call those fresh, God, my terminology is bad. We used to call them fresh kills or fresh steals. Then I learned about vehicle identification numbers and how people would steal cars and change the vehicle identification numbers and sell them, or steal a car and tag it for themselves and keep it. So I became an expert on where the hidden VIN numbers were on cars and what VIN number belonged to what car.
Interestingly enough, there's a story about VIN numbers. I'll tell you what, we'll take a break. When we come back, Vic, I want to talk about VIN numbers and an interesting story about VIN numbers that's in the book. We'll do that when we come back. Our guest is Vic Ferrari. He's got a great new book out there, folks. I want you to check it out. We have a link in the description of this program. Name of the book is NYPD, Presumption and Dysfunction, Tell All NYPD Books. When we come back, we're going to talk about VIN numbers and how you fake a VIN number and how Vic had to get information out of another department as to how he could find fake VIN numbers. We'll do that when we come back. You're listening and watching the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. My guest is Vic Ferrari. The name of the book, NYPD, Presumption and Dysfunction. It's a great book, folks. It's got humor. It's got interesting stories. It's actually got some kind of fly by the seat of your pants type stories where you don't know where things are going. It's got something for everybody. And we've got a link in the description of this program so you can check out the book. By all means, I encourage you to check it out. It's one of those books I got through in one sitting, and I got through it very quickly. I think you're going to love this book. Vic, before we went to the break, we were talking about stolen cars and talking about your job in the... Now, you had two different jobs. Was it the auto theft division and the auto...
So the auto larceny unit is like the minor leagues
Okay.
for the auto crime division. You're not going to get promoted detective from the auto larceny unit, and that was just the Bronx borough. Auto crime encompassed the New York City 5 boroughs.
Okay, gotcha. So you were in the first division, and you had to call up to, was it the auto crime division, in order to, when you had a stolen car, in order to, if you had what you thought was a fake VIN number, right? In order to have them check it out. Is that how that worked? How did that work? Can you
it was early in my career, and I was a precinct cop, just a regular precinct cop. And I had stopped a couple of cars that I knew the VIN numbers were fake. So I called the auto crime division, and I would get pushback over the phone. Like, well, how do you know the car is bad? Well, the VIN number came off in my hand. Well, officer, do you know it's a felony to remove a VIN number from a car? And I'm like, listen, you can lock me up, but I know this car is bad. Come down here. So And what would happen is two detectives would show up, and I was like a kid. "Well, can you show me where these hidden VIN numbers?" Yeah, sure. But why don't you come with me and we'll interview the suspect while my partner looks at the car, and then we'll show you. And then inevitably, the partner would come back with a piece of paper with a printout saying the car was stolen. They'd pat me on the head and they'd say, "Oh, we got to go. I just got a call. I just got a text. I got a call." And they'd leave. And they did this to me several times. And my sergeant, who was a car guy, said, "No, no, 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 no. We're going to set them up." So after about 3 or 4 times of this happening, I called them up. They asked me where the car was. And I said, "The car's in the parking lot." They said, "Okay, we'll be there in an hour." So what my sergeant did was he hung out in the parking lot in his own private vehicle, watching the stolen car that I brought in. The two detectives showed up, and when they started climbing all over this this Ford Bronco, he popped out. I came out, and then, it was kind of like a pissing match. And finally, they reluctantly had to show me where the hidden VIN numbers were on this car. They actually showed me two different vehicles. And that chapter is basically like how I couldn't understand why they wouldn't share the information. And it was always such to just it was like trying to get blood out of a stone. And then what winds up happening is years later, I go to the auto crime division as a young detective, and I'm working with one of the guys that used to screw me over all the time. And he explains to me over time why he did it and the reason behind it. And then if you read that story, it backfires on me because I got screwed with the mounted unit.
Yeah. Now, it's funny how something so simple as a fake VIN number and trying to hold on to a little bit of information really does save your career. I mean, is it really something that trivial? I mean, why is something like shared information, like how to find a fake VIN number, gonna hold on to your career or make your career secure?
It's not just the auto crime division. Every specialized unit keeps information very close to the vest, because if everybody knew how to do it, there wouldn't be a need for it. And B, as I went into, there are cops that'll get themselves in trouble because they really don't know what they're doing. They'll tear somebody's car apart. They'll do damage to the car and go, "Well, I was searching for a hidden VIN." Well, what training and experience do you have that says that this car was bad? And in the meantime, you creased this guy's fender, unbolting a fender, or you tore out the guy's back seat looking for packing slips. So I see it both ways now. And like I say in the book, I went and it was a con. It really was a con. I played every part in that con. I played the victim. I played the straight man. I played the con artist. And it's there's no right answer to that story because I was a hypocrite.
Right. I got you there. Um, there's kind of an interesting story about you talk about a con and trying to get one over on your superiors, I guess. There's an interesting story that didn't have so much to do with you, but it had to do with 4 NYPD officers and a trip to Pittsburgh. And I'm wondering if we could talk a little bit about that story, because it had to do with vacation time and how exactly you fill out your slips, I guess, in order to go on vacation, and how exactly behavior becoming of an officer is determined. The name of the chapter is "Do Not Engage the Inmates," which I thought was one of the funniest chapters in the book. Can you tell us a little bit about the 4 officers and how they spent their time in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, there was a couple of Manhattan. There was 4 Manhattan cops, and they came up with the bright idea. The Mets was still good at the time, and they wanted to go to Pittsburgh for a weekend series to watch the Mets Pirates. They thought it would be fun, so these 4 guys, they did the midnight shift at Manhattan precinct. They filled out the proper paperwork. They took the weekend off. Then they ran to Winnebago, which they didn't know how to drive. They drive down to Pittsburgh. They don't have tickets for the game. They have no place to stay. So what most cops will do is they'll go to the local police station, and cops barter all the time for these challenge coins and mugs and PBA cards and favors. So they went to a Pittsburgh police station. They hooked up with this cop who just happened to work security at Three Rivers Stadium. So he got them free tickets to like the bleachers, and he also enabled them to leave their Winnebago in the parking lot for the weekend. So for them, it was win-win. It wasn't like they were going to Disney where they had hookups and stuff. They just would park this thing in Three Rivers Stadium parking lot. So, these guys are in their 20s and they're carrying on like jackasses and partying and having girls come back to the Winnebago. And one of the guys got caught streaking in the parking lot after the game, and the Pittsburgh cop had to squash it for him. So on day 3, Sunday, they were all hungover, and the Pittsburgh cop says, "Hey, my cousin works at a prison. You guys want to take a tour of a female correctional facility?" So they're like, "Yeah, sure." So they drive out to the country and they go to this female correctional facility, and they're met by the Pittsburgh cop's cousin. And all he keeps telling them is, "Do not engage the inmates. Do not engage the inmates." And they go through a magnetometer, and they actually have lunch in a female correction facility, and cops will eat anything for free. And eventually what happens is they're on the prison yard, and one of them bends down to tie his shoe. One of the female prisoners yells, "Nice ass." All the inmates are laughing. The cops start grabbing their crotch and pushing back. It escalates into a prison uprising. They got to run out of the prison. And they think it's the funniest thing in the world. And they go back to the precinct. They return. They get into an accident with the Winnebago. They don't report it. They go back to their precinct. They drop off the Winnebago and they go back to their lives. And they're telling every cop in the precinct what happened. And they think it's funny. Well, a local reporter catches wind of the prison uprising and writes a story. And it's only local, but then it gets picked up on the AP wire. And then it starts appearing in the New York Post and the New York Daily News that the Pittsburgh 4 NYPD cops supposedly started a prison riot. There was a problem at Three Rivers Stadium. So now Internal Affairs gets involved. They go to the correctional facility and they were able to figure out that, yes, there was 4 NYPD cops that came in here. They figure out who the guy was on duty that let them in. Then they find out he had a cousin who was a Pittsburgh cop. But this is before the days of cell phones. So the Pittsburgh cop and the correction officer really didn't have their names or phone numbers. Maybe they didn't even provide them, but they didn't have it's not like they were taking selfies and posting them on Instagram. It just was kind of, yeah, these guys said they were cops and that's all they had. Well, with the NYPD, they were trying to figure out who did it. If you're going to take from 5 minutes off to 5 weeks off, you got to fill out a form called a 28. 28 used to be called a 33 because in the corruption days, you had to staple a $5 bill to it to get the day off. So it's a very simplistic form. You just put your name, your command, your tax number, and the time you want off. Then there's a line that says where you're going to be. And guys would always write Afghanistan or Beirut on it because no one wants to share where they're going to be on their vacation time. Well, one of the cops puts Mets Pirates series.
Oh,
and that's how they were able to catch them.
That's ridiculous.
After months.
I mean, there's something to be said for honesty, Vic, but come on. I mean, that's the one thing that gives it away, right? That's just too bad. But there's more in the book to read about it. It's by the way, and go get it. NYPD Presumption and Dysfunction by Vic Ferrari. It's we got a link in the description of this program too.
Thank you.
So go get it. I want to talk a little bit about speaking of breaking a little bit of bylaws or codes or not necessarily following the laws and bylaws. There's a chapter in the book, and I think this has more to do with you than anything else, about not necessarily getting involved in a chase. Correct? You're not supposed to chase down suspects when you work for the auto division, and you're not supposed to get in a chase with a stolen car. Was it Julio that you were trying to chase down? Or not Julio, right? Am I getting my chapters mixed up?
I think you're getting them mixed up, but yeah, the rule of the NYPD is they do not want you getting in car chases for stolen cars.
Mm-hmm.
And the dirty little secret is we all did it. It was one of those things. If you caught the guy and no one got hurt, no harm, no foul. No one's going to come looking for your job. If you're chasing a stolen car and the suspect gets hurt in a car accident, or God forbid, a civilian gets injured during a car chase, they're going to come for your job. But, we did it anyway. And there's a story in there that my partner and I spot this Dodge Caravan. It's sitting in a unoccupied in a Home Depot parking lot with the window rolled down. And in the Bronx, no one leaves their windows rolled down because it's an invitation to have somebody rummage through it. So I ran the plate, comes back stolen. Guy gets into the car. We start following him. He looks up in the rearview mirror and he takes off. And we get on I-95 and he starts ramming cars and we had to back off. We couldn't drive like him. So I told my partner, I go, I'm going to get him. He goes, oh, just let it go. So I pulled a report on the car and I found out that the car was stolen a week before, literally across the street from where we chased him. And there's only two types of people that hold onto a stolen car for more than a couple of days. Children, teenagers, because they will drive it until the wheels fall off and they don't know any better. And drug addicts and junkies because they steal cars to commit more crimes, or they steal it. They're homeless oftentimes. They got thrown out of their house. So they'll park in a park somewhere and shoot up and get high. It becomes like their home. So I knew that for this guy to hold on to that car for a week, and it was a Dodge Caravan, it wasn't really worth anything. It was like 10 years old. Mm-hmm. So then what I did was I did a summons check. Summons check will tell you where a car has gotten parking tickets. I saw that the car had gotten parking tickets in the housing project just literally about a mile from where we chased him. So I knew he was a local guy. The next day, I went to our Vice unit and borrowed an 8-cylinder car, borrowed a Mercury Grand Marquis. And my partner's like, you're out of your mind. We're never going to see this guy again. I says, you watch. We weren't in the precinct 10 minutes. And we were going to get gas at the 4-7. And the guy just drove right past us. And my partner's like, I don't believe this. And we followed him. He stopped in a gas station. And we rolled up behind him. And if you ever wondered what would happen if someone drove away from the gas pumps with the nozzle still in the vehicle, I can tell you that hose stretches to maximum capacity. And when it snaps back, that metal hose goes, ding! It just started swinging and hitting things. It will kill you if that thing would have hit you. So we chased the guy a couple of blocks. He mounts the sidewalk. And he tried to squeeze between a fence, and in New York, you have lampposts, and on the lamppost, you have this big green metal box which controls the traffic control device. He couldn't get through there, and it sheared off the passenger side of the Dodge Caravan, bringing it to a halt. And he flopped out of the car. He looked like a manatee. He was all in white. He went over a fence. I started chasing him. My partner ran around the block, and we finally caught him. And I'm looking at him after we got him cuffed up, and I go, I locked you up before. And he goes, you never locked me up before. I said, I locked you up about 3 years ago. You had your wife and kid in the car. And he goes, oh, wow, you got a good memory. And in the book, and it's true, when, he slept for a couple hours, and then he woke up, he was like, how'd you catch me? And I'm like, what was I supposed to tell him? He checked all the boxes of a garden variety car thief.
Yeah. Yeah. I do have a question for you, Vic. In today's day and age of car thieves, they're mainly ripping off cars, or they're mainly going after cars for catalytic converters. And, that's where the money is. But years and years ago, I know they were chopping up cars for parts and mainly chopping them up and taking the individual parts and selling them off. But what was the most expensive part of a car that they were getting the money for, back in the day?
It depends. And it just depends on the car and the time frame. Like when airbags first started coming out, late 90s, early 2000, thieves were getting $500 for a set of airbags. And then, these body shops, these salvage yards would turn around and sell them for $1,500 new.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, we had a case on the Bronx. You would have guys over the weekend walking into this place with duffel bags full of airbags, and the place was paying them in check, which made it even funnier. And then what wound up happening is one of the guys in my office set up a post office box with a phony business in New Jersey, like it was a body shop. And then he would call this place in the Bronx and place orders. Once you put something in the mail, it becomes mail fraud and interstate transfer of stolen property. So we hit him with a federal statute and we shut the place down. But the guy made a couple of $1 million in just a couple of years with airbags.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And through the checks, we were able to lock up all the thieves.
That is staggering, just through airbags.
Yeah.
Wow. See, you think
catalytic converter is a little different. To catch the catalytic converter, guys, all you really got to do is set up on a scrap metal processor. Because where else are they going to sell that? Yeah. That's the only place you can get rid of it. So like if I was the local sheriff or something and someone was someone was stealing, we were getting hit with that, I would figure out where all the scrap metal processors are within about 40, 50 miles and just set up there. And I'd have a talk with the owners of those places and like, listen, I get that sometimes someone will bring in here a lead sled and they don't have the title and it's a little old lady and okay, I'll just crush it. I'm going to make your life a living hell if you're buying these things because that's where catalytic converters go.
Yeah. Yeah. But yet it seems like in bigger cities, they're getting hit with catalytic converter thefts left and right. Why is it that bigger cities aren't cracking down harder on it?
So much going on.
Yeah.
There's just so much going on. And I don't know how the NYPD fights crime now. I know how it did. If that was going on in my time, those scrap metal processors wouldn't have gotten a moment's sleep. We would have been parked outside.
I mean, it makes complete sense. It really does. I just know, like here in Minneapolis, where I am, catalytic converter thefts in the last 5 years, it may have slowed down now, but I mean, it was at an all-time high, especially on the foreign cars. It was easy to get. It was easy to get it, especially off of like a Honda or a Hyundai, or those are the ones that were getting chopped pretty quickly and pretty easily.
Yeah, well, it's just two cuts with a wizard tool.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. I tell you what, we're getting short on time here. You did tell me you had one dumb crime with a stupid criminal before we go to Jessica, and it had to do with the club anti-theft device.
Yeah, I got a lot of stupid criminal stories, but
Yeah.
it was the early 90s.
Mhm.
Came over, it was mid-afternoon in the winter, came over as a robbery in progress. And I pull up, and there's a guy laying on the floor, and his face just has welts all over it. And he's rolling around in pain. And there's this big, beefy guy standing above him with the club anti-theft device. And I says, put down that day. He goes, no, 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 no. He deserved it. So what I found out what happened was this big guy and his girlfriend, their boyfriend, girlfriend, they lived together in this building off of Broadway. And he went downstairs to get the car and was on the side street. When his girlfriend came out, this guy approached her and said, give me your bag. And she said, no. He punched her in the face,
Oh,
took her bag, threw on the floor, rummaged through her bag. When she got up, punched her in the face again for good luck and started walking down the block with her bag. The girlfriend ran around the block, went to the boyfriend, who was a bouncer at a Manhattan club, and said, this guy just beat the crap out of me and took her bag. The boyfriend took the club anti-theft device and basically went to work on this guy, whooped his ass. And we got there. It was like, all right. Well, he swung at me. I says, fine. He punched your girlfriend in the face. You robbed you. You're allowed to defend yourself and your girlfriend. So what's funny is years later, I locked up this kid and I remembered the address. And I said, I locked up a guy for a robbery. And he goes, oh, yeah, I know that guy. And I go, what's this? He goes, oh, he used to smoke angel dust and he got off the train and he just wanted a Broadway. He was dusted and he decided to rob that girl. He goes, and then you guys locked him up. He goes, yeah. He goes, he's still got those marks on his face.
oh, he did, really?
Yeah. As per another guy I locked up like a couple of years later.
Oh my gosh! So the club really does work. I mean, it.
The club does work. It's an effective crime fighting tool.
Ouch! Oh, oh, I can't imagine. Oh, still having the marks.
Yeah. That's what he said.
Oh my God, that had to be painful. So I mean, yeah, I mean, you're probably talking skull fractures, right?
No, I think, no, I don't remember him going to the hospital for
Oh,
anything.
okay, just nice welts.
Just some cosmetic, yeah, elective surgery.
Okay. Yikes! Ouch! Well, that's a good one, Vic. That's definitely a good one. The club literally is an anti-theft device. That's good. That's very good. Well, the name of the book is NYPD Presumption and Dysfunction, and we have a link to it in the description of this program. It's a very, very entertaining book, and I mean, we shouldn't laugh at your expense, but there are some very funny stories in here as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
So, but yeah, and by the way, we do want to thank you as well for your service in the New York Police Department for all those years. We do want to mention as well that today, as we're taping, it's Veterans Day, so we do want to thank all veterans as well for their service. as we're taping today as well. So with that, it's time now for us to lighten, not that it hasn't been a light conversation, but we do want to lighten things up just a bit. It's time now for us to bring in Jessica Freeberg. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time again, the time you've all been looking forward to. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals. And with that, we need a co-hostess. So we reach out into the ether, as it were. Look at this is me reaching out into the ether. You can see
I'm reaching back.
Are you reaching back? Are you reaching back?
Yes.
Okay.
I can almost touch you.
There you go. And we reach out into the ether. We reach out for the best we can for the best in talent. We reach out. She's talented. She's witty. She's brilliant. Not only that, but she brings the funny. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, ready for a trip this weekend, which will blow all your minds. Ladies and gentlemen, Jessica Freeberg. Hi, Jess.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm so good. And I'm so excited for this weekend. I can't believe it's the first time we're ghost hunting together.
I know, right?
It's crazy.
I know. It's going to be cool. Hold on just 1 second here. Are we having the issue with the microphone again? Go ahead and say something.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Okay. Maybe I just need to lean forward.
No. It's on my end. There we go. Okay. And take two. Okay. All right. Yes. First time ghost hunting together. That's I don't know what took so long, but
Yeah. Like a decade later. Here we go.
yeah, here we go. All right. Well,
Party.
it's going to be a fun time. That's for sure. And yeah, so looking forward to it. Going to be a great time up at the Palmer House Hotel. So I will tell you, I did fail in one respect. I
How?
had a hard time finding a zoot suit, but I'll bring a suit. You'll see me in a suit. I will have a suit to wear.
That'll work.
It just won't be a zoot suit. So
Yeah, you and my daughter both. I ordered her 2 different gangster outfits and she just tried them on. She's like, one's too small, one's too big. Now she wants a dress. I'm like, we're running out of time, girl. You're stressing me out.
it just it was one of those things where I couldn't get the right attire, and I'm between sizes, so I couldn't
Yeah.
get the right. Yeah, I couldn't
It'll
get
be
it.
perfect. For a guy, all you got to do is wear kind of dress up clothes, right?
Yeah, but you want to be in the spirit of things. I just
Oh,
so
we'll get you in the spirit. We'll get you in the spirit.
look at that. All right then.
Mm.
Let's see. I kind of have the but I kind of have the Indiana Jones look. I mean, that's kind of 40s though. It's not really 20s, but it's
It
two,
works.
2 decades a little late. But
Do you feel like the guys kind of had similar attire in both those eras? I mean, like the 20s, 30s, 40s, they were very dressy. They were really suited up and they
Yeah.
were like, with the vests and the bow ties and
yeah, most definitely. Yeah, it was. That. Yeah. They weren't much for leisure wear, were they?
no, they were not casual at all. Nobody was wearing sweatpants or windbreakers.
The one thing that did go out of style though, seersucker. Don't see a lot of
Oh,
seersucker stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
and heavier
Heck.
wool. A lot of heavy wool material. You don't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think our fabrics have gotten more comfortable, but they're probably way worse for the environment now.
Yes, they are. Yeah. A lot of yeah, you're right.
Leaving a lot of forever chemicals behind.
Yeah, oh. Yeah, I keep seeing articles and not only articles but features on how much plastics are put into your body.
Oh, I just listened to an episode of a podcast from a scientist and doctor that I love, and that's what he was talking about. He was talking all about how much plastic we have, like in men, and you're in the sperm, and women in the placenta, and even like with babies when they're born, that first bowel movement they have, the meconium, that has plastic in it. So it's like we're putting them in from right from the start.
Yeah. And then
Crazy.
I don't know, this may rub people in both political persuasions the wrong way, but I happen to be a big fan of Bill Maher. I don't know. And I watch his program on HBO, and his whole thing was, I think over this past weekend was, the whole thing that this is the only thing I think I'll say that'll piss both sides off, but the whole thing about recycling being bullshit. And
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
the fact that, what is it, 9% of what you actually put into your recycling bin actually gets recycled, something like.
No, it's so sad. And I try so hard to clean it all up and
I
make
do
sure that
too.
it's good for them to recycle. And then you
Yep.
hear a stat like that and you're like, why am I even bothering?
Yeah, yeah, I do too. I try so hard to make sure things are separated, and I mean, I just do it because I look at future generations and what we're going to leave, you know, for them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about, for future generations. Because I guess I worry about that, but that's and then you find out that you work so hard to make sure stuff is easier for the people who are collecting this stuff, for sanitation workers, and then you find out after all they just end up throwing it in a landfill anyways.
I know. It's crazy. And that's one of the reasons that my daughters and I have really gotten into like thrifting too, because you're giving stuff new life, right? Like you're not throwing your clothes away to the landfill,
Right. Yeah.
and you're getting someone's old used treasures. And I don't know. We're kind of a throwaway society, but that's neither here nor there.
I think
I
the
guess
one.
that makes us stupid criminals, Tim.
Yeah, it does. The one he said, the one throwaway line from The Graduate, the movie The Graduate, was that everybody laughed at in the theater, the original time when Dustin Hoffman is cornered at the pool, and the one guy says, the one business you want to go into that you're going to make a lot of money at is plastics, and everybody laughed at that line because it was supposed to be a throwaway line. Ended up being prophetic.
It's very true. Yep.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah. Funny what a throwaway line in 1967 was then is in 2024 one of the most prophetic lines that ever could have existed.
I had no idea.
Yeah. How did I get on that rant? I don't know.
I don't know. How did we get here? Where are we?
I don't know. I have no idea. I will tell you this much as far as our stories today, Jess. We're going to start off with a bang.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
Like, shoot 'em
literally.
up, bang.
Well, like sitting on it and bang, getting blown to smithereens.
Oh, ouch.
Well, I mean, sometimes it happens. By the way, never ever, if you have dumb friends, just never take their advice. Never take a bet, never take a dare, never do anything like that.
Those are usually the best stares, though, that come from your dumb friends.
Mm, I just never have. I learned at an early age because I had a bunch of stupid friends in high school, and
Yeah.
and I took a couple of their dares. In fact, I took one probably begrudgingly, and I almost got in trouble for it. I mean, luckily I knew how to tell a good lie in high school too. But I mean, I ended up shooting them with a BB gun.
I was gonna say, what's the worst stare you've ever taken, Tim? Now I want to know.
I pulled an Oswald out of my buddy's window, second story window.
Oh no.
Well, because he wanted to know if I could, because our one buddy was standing in his driveway across. I mean, it was from a long distance, but he wanted to know if with two pumps out of a BB gun, if I could hit him.
Hmm.
Not necessarily hurt him, but just hit him.
Yeah, BBs just leave a mark. They're not deadly.
Yeah. So I was like two pumps, from like I think it was. I'm trying to remember how far away I was. I want to say it was like 100 feet away or 200 feet away. I mean, you barely, I mean, it wouldn't even break the skin, right? So I was like,
No,
oh,
not from that distance.
yeah. So I was like, oh, I'll hit him in the stomach. And he was wearing a Hill Street Blues t-shirt. So I hit him right in the tire. I mean, this was like
You
marksman type.
nailed him.
I got him right in the tire, Jess, which was
You
right in
could
the
have been a
belly.
sniper.
I could have been. Maybe I was. Maybe I was some sort of CIA type implant in my buddy's little circle there. You never know.
Might have been.
But yeah, so I hit him right in the tire of the police car in his Hill Street Blues T-shirt that he was wearing. I mean, it was a good shot.
Yeah, I bet he was mad.
Oh, he was furious.
Yeah.
In fact, he sent his mom over to the house where my buddy's house, and I mean, everybody freaked out. I was like, "Fuck yeah, nice shot."
Yeah.
I'm not,
I have been shot with a BB before, and it does hurt. And close enough, it definitely breaks the skin.
well, but this was from. I mean, we're talking second story window. He's across
Yeah.
the yard in his driveway, and I mean, we're talking, 2 pumps. I mean, was nothing. I mean, it'd be like me throwing a spitball at you from across the room. I mean, he barely.
Yeah.
He was like, "I've been shot!" Like he yelled it. He yelled it like.
Oh, folks, this is Tim's dumb crime, stupid criminal moment.
This was my dumb crime, stupid criminal moment. But yeah, but it was stupid. Yeah, but we managed to get away with it. I won't tell you how.
As most stares are. Most stares are stupid.
Yeah, we managed to get away with it. It was stupid. It was my biggest regret. But yeah, as a kid, you do dumb shit, right?
Yeah. I don't have any regrets, I don't think.
No.
I can't think of any. No. My stupidest dare was to go, and I think we talked about someone who went through the drive-through naked, and I wasn't naked, but I was in my underpants.
Wow, really?
McDonald's drive-through in my underpants in high school. It was a dare. I couldn't say no. I got my chicken nuggets and drove away.
There you go. See? Wow.
But when we were telling that story last week about the naked guy, I was like, I'm ashamed that I can kind of relate to this story.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the back of my brain.
Was it a male or female that was taking your order?
It was a girl, so.
Oh, see, well,
I know.
there was no real danger to that whole deal then.
But you didn't know who you were going to get, you know?
That's true. That was a
I
little.
was taking a risk. It happened to be another girl, and she was just like, I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. A little drive-through roulette going on there. Yeah. If it were a guy, would it have been any big thrill, or would it have been?
No, whatever. I didn't have a lot of shame back in that day.
No. It's
No.
just kind of living free.
We were talking about this the other day about like getting depanced, and somebody was like, "Oh, that'd be the worst thing that ever happened." I'm like, I got depanced in the middle of the comments in high school. I was just like, all right, just pulled my pants back up and laughed and walked away. Like, not embarrassed. I lack that thing inside of you that probably should feel embarrassed. I didn't get that.
Boy, I have a story for you, but I'll tell you off air, and it's not about me. It's about somebody we know. Mm-hmm.
I can't wait.
Very public depancing, and it was.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, in the middle of a lot of people, and it was quite funny, quite funny. This person that we're about to talk about in this story died after his friends dared him to sit on a box of fireworks.
Oh, that was a really dumb dare to take.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes when your friends tell you, "Hey, here's a great thing you should do," you probably should.
No.
No, you probably shouldn't do it at all. His friends promised to buy him an auto rickshaw if he carried out the stunt. There's no amount of money. There's nothing I want personally in this world that you can get me to sit on anything. A bottle rocket, a firecracker, a snake, one of those little, see little snakes that you light on fire. Nothing.
No, none of it. Not even the little snap ones. I don't want any
Yes.
snapping going on under me.
Yeah. One of those little where you throw it on the ground. The little snappers or whatever they're called. Yeah. A 32-year-old man in India lost his life after accepting a dare by his friends to sit on a box of lit fireworks in Diwali, according to the police. The man, identified only by one name, Shabarish, reportedly sat on a box of exploding fireworks at the urging of his 6 friends as part of a risky wager during a celebration on October 31st in the country's IT hub of Bengaluru. The group, including Shabarish, was believed to be under the influence of alcohol at the time, no doubt, according to reports. His friends promised to buy him an auto rickshaw if he carried out the stunt, which involved sitting on the box as it exploded. Ow.
Yeah, that's a terrible, terrible idea.
It really is. A video of the incident, now circulating widely on social media, shows the fatal explosion with Shabarish collapsing to the ground after the fireworks went off beneath him. He was rushed to a hospital but succumbed to his injuries on Saturday. A case of culpable homicide has been registered, and the 6 members of the group involved in the incident have been arrested and produced before the court. Deputy Commissioner of Police Lokesh Jagalarsar was quoted as saying by the Press Trust of India. He died while undergoing treatment on November 2nd at the Victoria Hospital in the city. The police have arrested 6 people connected with the incident. According to the police, the victim, a construction laborer, was roaming in the area after consuming alcohol when he met the group known to him who were setting off the fireworks. They asked him to join them before issuing him the challenge at around 9:30 p.m. He sustained severe burn injuries to his buttocks, abdomen, and thighs before collapsing. Ouch. Dinakar, one of the accused, came and told me that Shabarish had set off fireworks and sustained injuries. His mother, who is Vijaya, told the outlet, "As my son was drunk, I believed this version. I rushed to the spot with my younger daughter, and with the help of those youths, we rushed him to a nearby hospital. Around 1 a.m., he was moved to the burns ward at Victoria Hospital, where he died on November 2nd, she said. Wow. She said it was while making the funeral arrangements for him that the family learned about the details of the incident. The incident was captured on a CCTV camera installed at one of the buildings. She told the Indian National Daily, "I was shocked to see the footage and realized that the youths had lied to me."
Yikes, that's tragic.
And actually, there's a still picture of this, which is just amazing.
Oh,
Yeah. So it just goes to show you, Jess, don't believe your so-called buddies when they tell you, hey, if you sit on a box of fireworks, I'll buy you an auto rickshaw.
yeah, it's all fun and games until you get your ass blown up.
It's a great quote. See, I don't care how you state it. It is kind of funny. Even better than that, it's all fun and games until your car flips over inside a covered bridge. I'll put it to you that way, and I'll show you the picture because the picture is even more impressive. Take a look at that.
How on earth? It's sideways.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You may ask yourself, well, how in the world do you actually flip your car inside a covered bridge? I'll say this to you as an Iowa girl. Can you imagine flipping your car inside a covered bridge? I mean, hitting one, sure, right?
Yeah,
But
maybe coming out the side of one, driving like an idiot, but not, how do you flip your car?
right inside of it. I mean,
Scientifically, my brain is like,
yeah.
oh.
Yeah, right. We go to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, where a car was removed from inside a bridge in Lancaster County late Friday night of last week. Officials with the Upper Leacock Fire Company said they arrived around 11 p.m. to find a car had flipped inside of the Hunsaker's Mill covered bridge. The bridge connects Hunsaker Road with Hunsaker Road. So it's Hunsaker and Hunsaker. I know it's just one letter that connects the two, but
It's almost like they got lazy.
they did. Yeah. It's hard naming roads, that just,
Yes.
yeah. All occupants of the vehicle were able to safely evacuate by the time officials arrived, and dispatch confirmed nobody was injured as a result. Fire officials said the bridge was undamaged. Miraculously. Because when you see this, there is no room. Look at this. There is no room in there. Look how tight that car is in there. And
There is absolutely no wiggle room.
none. And that car is like from top to bottom, from side to side, that thing is wedged in there.
Yeah. Kind of off kilter,
Yeah.
turned a little crooked. It's just, yeah, it's crazy. Wedged is exactly what it is.
And there's no damage whatsoever. As a matter of fact, they have a couple of different pictures of this thing on the side from different angles, and take a look at that.
It's
Still,
even worse from the front.
I know, right? Still
That's
no damage.
wild.
No damage whatsoever.
Huh.
That person's going to get a job in Hollywood as a stunt driver. I know. That's unbelievable. That's wow. To tell you how impressive that is, I'm actually going to post this in the description of the program so you can see the picture. For those of you who aren't watching on video, to see the picture of what this car actually looks like. It's pretty impressive. To continue on with I don't know if this is a word or not, Jess. I'm counting on you as an author to tell me the juvenality. Is that a word?
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
Right. I made up a new word. To continue on with the juvenality of today's stories, a man threw hundreds of nails and screws into a Vermont road and into parking lots, police say, because why not? I never got this either. Why you would do that? I know I had some friends when I was younger who thought that was funny to like watch tires explode.
Yeah, just trying to pop other people's tires.
Yeah. Yep. We go to Bradford, Vermont. This guy is, you would think, okay, so he's got to be a younger man, right? He's not. He's an older guy who did this. Police
He's
say
an old crabby man,
he is. I'll show you the
grumpy
picture.
old man.
Look at this guy is no spring chicken.
Oh, no, grumpy old man.
Grumpy old man. He looks like he's got to be in his 40s or 50s.
He's around our age, Tim.
Don't lump me in with him, Jess. I'm just saying. Police say a Vermont man spread hundreds of nails and screws across a road and parking areas in Bradford last Wednesday. Workers at a Main Street business waved down passing police after spotting a man throwing nails. Oh, God, he is our age. Jesus Christ. Officers caught up with 54-year-old James Denman of Hartford in the driveway of the Bradford town office, where they say he was throwing screws and nails into the road and under a parked police cruiser. Denman was cited on charges including reckless endangerment and disorderly conduct. He's due in court next month. Police and transportation workers picked up hundreds of nails and screws in the road and parking areas from the town office to the Dollar General store on Carson Lane. But they say it's likely some remain, especially in the parking areas on Main Street next to the northbound travel lane between Barton Street and Katie Welch Service Road. Anyone who drove through or parked in those areas and has damaged tires should contact Bradford Police Sergeant Schaefer. I don't know what he's going to do, if he's going to, replace your tires or patch them for you, or I don't know what they do.
Patch your tires.
Yeah, I don't know if they do that in small towns, but maybe that's what they do. All right, we're gonna slow it down a bit before we get back into the chaos again. Here's a little bit of a palate cleanser for you. This one comes from one of our listeners. Court has ruled on who gets to keep a $70,000 engagement ring after a relationship ends. That's an expensive engagement ring.
It is. What's it made out of? The biggest diamond ever?
I'll show you a picture of it. This supposedly, I think, is a picture of it. Take a look at that rock.
Oh, well, I would say that's probably a 2-carat diamond or something. That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a shine to it, doesn't it?
You should let me keep it.
There you go. I think that should be the decision from the
Solved.
from the judge. We'll just give it to Jess. So that way, it's better than the Solomon decision, right? Where you break it in half and give one half to one half to the other. You just give it to Jess. Neither one of you get it. That sounds like something my dad would do. Neither one of you get it. I'm giving it to some poor kid.
Giving it to a stranger.
That's right, giving it to a stranger. Neither one of you get it. The ruling put a definitive end to a 6-decade-old state rule that required judges to try and identify who is to blame for the end of the relationship. We're going to Boston, where the question is who gets to keep an engagement ring if a romance turns sour and the wedding is called off. That's what the highest court in Massachusetts was asked to decide with a $70,000 ring at the center of the dispute. The court ultimately ruled Friday that an engagement ring must be returned to the person who purchased it, ending a 6-decade state rule that required judges to try and identify who was to blame for the end of the relationship. The case involved Bruce Johnson and Caroline Citino, who started dating in the summer of 2016, according to court filings. Over the next year, they traveled together, visiting New York, Bar Harbor, Maine, the Virgin Islands, and Italy. Must be nice to go to all those places,
kidding.
right? Johnson paid for the vacations and also gave Citino jewelry, clothing, shoes, and handbags. I wonder if he's still available. I'm just...
We do put him on a dating app and hook him up with one of our listeners. He sounds like a hell of a guy.
Right. Eventually, Johnson bought a $70,000 diamond engagement ring, and in August of 2017, asked Citino's father for permission to marry her. 2 months later, he also bought 2 wedding bands for about $3,700. Oh, so it's a set.
Nice.
Yeah. Johnson said he felt like after that, Citino became increasingly critical and unsupportive, including berating him and not accompanying him to treatments when he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, according to court filings. At some point, Johnson looked at Citino's cell phone and discovered a message from her to a man he didn't know. "My Bruce is going to be in Connecticut for 3 days. I need some playtime," the message read.
Ooh.
Whoops.
Busted.
I guess that $73,000 set's going somewhere else, isn't it?
He definitely deserves to get it back.
Yeah, I think so. He also found messages from the man, including a voicemail in which the man referred to Citino as Cupcake. Yeah, I think you should get that ring back. And said they didn't see enough of each other. Citino has said the man was just a friend.
My friends call me Cupcake all the time.
I'm sure they do. Right, Cupcake?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Johnson ended the engagement, but ownership of the ring remained up in the air. A trial judge initially concluded Citino was entitled to keep the engagement ring, reasoning that Johnson mistakenly thought Citino was cheating on him and called off the engagement. An appeals court found Johnson should get the ring. In September, the case landed before a Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court, which ultimately ruled that Johnson should keep the ring. In their ruling, the justices said the case raised the question of whether the issue of who is at fault should continue to govern the rights to engagement rings when the wedding doesn't happen. More than 6 decades ago, the court found that an engagement ring is generally understood to be a conditional gift and determined that the person who gives it can get it back after a failed engagement, but only if that person was without fault. And that's in quotes. We now join the modern trend adopted by the majority of jurisdictions that have considered the issue and retire the concept of fault in this context, the judges wrote in Friday's ruling. Whereas here the planned wedding does not ensue and the engagement is ended, the engagement ring must be returned to the donor regardless of fault. Johnson's lawyer, Stephanie Taverna-Seiden, welcomed the ruling. We are very pleased with the court's decision today. It is a well-reasoned, fair, and just decision and moves Massachusetts law in the right direction, Seiden went on to say. A lawyer for Citino said they were disappointed but respected the court's decision to follow the majority rule among the states. We firmly believe that the notion of an engagement ring as a conditional gift is predicated on outdated notions and should no longer be a legal loophole in our otherwise well-established rule that a breach of a promise to marry is not an injury recognized by law. That according to Nicholas Rosenberg. It's an interesting way to put it. I don't know if she thought that she was going to play around and get a $73,000 ring set or not.
She probably did. I think she probably thought she could.
I don't know why you would expect that, though. That's kind of the scruples are pretty. I don't know. It's pretty ballsy to think that you could get away with that. Harvard Law School professor Rebecca Tushnet, who studies engagement ring law, said that's very specific.
That's an actual,
That's an actual thing. I study engagement ring law,
that
right?
is a very, very pinpointed.
Yeah, it is. Um, Said she wasn't surprised that the court rejected the full fault standard, saying it really doesn't fit with modern family law. She said, I'm a bit disappointed that they didn't give more consideration to the other no fault option. That would be that the gift stays with the person who received it, as is standard for most gifts. She said the court calls an engagement ring a conditional gift, but the rule for engagement rings is not the same as the rule for any or every other kind of conditional gift. It really isn't. I mean, I think an engagement gift is a little different than most gifts. I mean,
I agree. And it's supposed to mean something. So if that something
right,
is no longer existent, why would you even want it?
right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a symbol of something, right?
Right.
It's a symbol of a bonding between two people.
Yeah.
If
Unless
that
the
bond-
reason you wanted it in the first place was because it was expensive, you know?
Right, right. It's not about the value of what the ring is. It's about what the ring means. So if that meaning is no longer there, why do you still want it?
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I tend to agree with the court, but that's just me. All right. We move on from one meaning to another. Most people seem to think that stoners are a lazy lot, but it turns out we have a stoner in St. Louis Obispo, California, who's a little let's just say advantageous and a little motivated.
I like it.
Yeah, we go to San Luis Obispo, California, where a 39-year-old man is in jail after he attempted to burglarize a pot shop in San Luis Obispo on October 30th. Shortly before 11 p.m., a 911 caller reported a man was beating on the door of Megan's Organic Market on Higuera Street. Officers arrived and found that the glass doors had been shattered. With officers on the scene, a man climbed from the rear fenced area onto the pot shop's roof. That's right. The stoner got up on the roof and then beat down the door.
Sounds dangerous.
Oh, he's breaking stuff. He's getting up on the roof. He's Spider-Man, for crying out loud, right? The suspect, later identified as Anthony Best of Salinas, then jumped into the backyard of one of the mobile homes next door. Officers took Best into custody after a brief struggle. So not only is he breaking doors and windows and jumping on roofs, he's fighting police officers for pot. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on here.
It's crazy.
Officers booked Best in the San Luis Obispo County Jail on charges of felony attempted burglary, felony vandalism, and misdemeanor resisting arrest. Best remains in custody with his bail set at $150,000. So it's not true that most stoners are lazy. That's for sure.
Not that one anyway.
That's right. Well, they say that Jesus loves, but would you believe that Jesus kills as well?
No.
No, well, it's true. It's true, Jess. A man claiming to be Jesus Christ kills a priest and injures 7 monks in a Spanish monastery this
Oh
past
my
week.
gosh, this is terrible.
We go to Spain, where a priest was tragically killed and 7 monks were injured in a brutal attack at the Santo Espiritu del Monte Monastery near Valencia, Spain. The assailant, who reportedly declared, "I am Jesus Christ," as he charged into the monastery, targeted the monks one by one in their rooms. I don't think Jesus would do that.
I don't think so either.
No.
Unless he was targeting them with like foot massages or,
Yeah.
something nice.
Yeah. Or, a healing. Maybe, maybe one of them were blind. He was trying to make the blind see. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I like this version of events better than what actually happened.
Right. Right. Authorities continue to search for the suspect. Oh, he got away.
No.
There must have been a lake in the back of the property. He must have walked on water and fled.
This is scary.
Authorities continue to search for the suspect who fled into the surrounding mountainous area following the attack. According to Metro, the incident has shocked the local community, especially as the region is still recovering from catastrophic floods that claimed over 200 lives. See, I told you he walked on water and got the hell out of there.
You were right.
Told you. The attack began in the early hours of the morning when the suspect allegedly climbed over the monastery's perimeter fence and stormed inside, confronting monks in their quarters. Galay's mayor, Salvador Costa, recounted details of the attack to the local press, stating he entered shouting, "I am Jesus Christ," and began physically attacking the monks with the clear intent to kill. The assailant struck each monk in turn, injuring 7 and leaving 76-year-old friar Padre Raphael fatally wounded, that according to the Mirror. 3 of the injured monks, aged 57, 66, and 95, are currently hospitalized with serious injuries.
Did they catch him?
No, he's on the loose still.
He's just floating around out there in an ark or something.
Well, no, that was Noah.
Oh.
You gotta get your historical figures right here. Yes,
Not Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. He'd probably be walking somewhere, but he'd have a donkey by his side, I'm sure, with psalms or something. Not
Ugh,
psalms.
I hope they get him. That is really sad.
The other 4 monks, though injured, are reportedly in stable condition. Only 2 monks who were working outside in the orchard managed to avoid the attacker's rampage. The monastery's provincial superior issued a statement later in the day expressing profound sorrow over the event. It was with deep surprise and pain that we received the news this morning that a disturbed person had entered the friary of Santo Espiritu del Monte. He continued, with the injuries on their bodies and the pain in their souls caused by what they have experienced, which undoubtedly leaves a deep mark on people, we also pray that the aggressor may become aware of the damage caused. The monastery also took the opportunity to reflect on the need for vigilance, urging its members to be more cautious in preventing potentially dangerous individuals from accessing their spaces. This event is also asking us brothers to be more attentive to prevent people who could cause damage of any kind from entering our fraternities, and thus to know how to take care of each other. The attack has left the local monastic community and broader public in a state of shock, especially as Valencia faces ongoing crises following recent flooding that resulted in over 200 fatalities, as we had mentioned before. According to CTV News, these floods have already placed immense strain on regional resources, prompting public outcry and demands for increased security and mental health support across the region. So there you go. All right. Another story from our listeners. By the way, if you have a story for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, you can send it to me at tim@darknessradio.com, and we will follow it up. This story has a supernatural slant to it, Jess.
Ooh.
A mom and grandma blame ghosts after toddlers test positive for fentanyl.
Oh, okay. There's some druggy ghosts.
Yeah, I guess ghosts like to feed fentanyl to children.
I mean, it happens. Maybe.
I don't know how, but it happens. And evidently it only happens in Newton, North Carolina, where these 2 women live. He must be popular in Newton, North Carolina. I don't know. That's where we're going, where 2 women are facing criminal charges after being accused of causing severe injuries to 2 toddlers in their care. The defense is citing paranormal activity as the cause, according to local ABC affiliate station WSOC. 25-year-old Emily Marie Edwards and her mother, 54-year-old Sherry Jean Edwards, were arrested on August 16th following a grand jury indictment on 2 counts of felony child abuse causing serious bodily injury, that according to Law and Crime. The charges are based on allegations dating back to December of 2023. The court documents reviewed by WSOC said that a 1-year-old and 2-year-old suffered multiple injuries, including burns, bite marks, and broken bones. Additionally, both children tested positive for fentanyl. When questioned by the Newton Police Department, the Edwards women reportedly said that the injuries were the result of evil spirits within their apartment in Newton, about 40 miles from Charlotte, North Carolina. According to Newton Police Chief Vidal Sipe, the women mentioned that they had been using a Ouija board, which is used to attempt to communicate with spirits, and suggested that the injuries were inflicted by these spirits during nightmares that the children experienced. The basic response was nightmares, Sipe explained to WSOC TV. They heard the kids yelling and went over to find injuries on them. They claimed that spirits in the house were responsible for these injuries. The indictment accuses the women of acting with a reckless disregard for life and failing to report the extensive injuries observed on the toddlers. The court documents detail the children's injuries and suggest that the abuse was a result of actions taken by the mother and grandmother. Sipe also said there was a possibility of a third adult involved who passed away earlier this year. Neighbors in the area have expressed skepticism about the Edwards account of events. One neighbor who also spoke to the TV channel dismissed the notion of paranormal activity, saying, "I think that's crazy," but not saying why. Currently, both women are being held in Catawba County Jail with bonds set at $25,000 each, that according to the radio station WHKY. Emily Edwards has appeared in court. She appeared on Monday, August 19th, but her next hearing has not been scheduled. Sherry Edwards has appeared in court as well. Newsweek reached out to the Newton Police Department for further details. So there you go. Interesting story.
Very strange. People come up with strange things. Quite an excuse.
So what do you think? Do you think it's a cover-up for child abuse?
I think so. I don't think ghosts are abusing your children.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think it's a convenient excuse to throw the Ouija board in there, but I don't think it's, I don't think it has anything to do with it whatsoever. Our next story has to do with a felony plea for a Texas home alone mother. Now, I'm trying to remember how many weeks ago it was. We had a mother who took off and went on a trip to Florida to get, was it like butt implants or something to that effect, and left her kids alone. You remember that?
I remember that one. Yes.
Okay. This mother evidently took a lesson from her. This Texas woman went on a cruise. She's 29 years old, left her two small kids behind.
Oh, man.
Evidently felt like, they're old enough to take care of themselves, I guess. A Texas woman left her two young children, ages 8 and 6, home alone while she went on a 4-day cruise, and she's pled guilty to felony abandonment. That according to court records. Jess, I have to ask you this before we go any further. When your kids were 8 and 6, how long do you think you could have left them alone by themselves?
0 minutes.
How many minutes?
I would have never left my kids 0. I would have never left them alone at 6 and 8. They're too little. I don't even think that's legal. I think they have to be like 10 or something, even to be home alone for like an hour or something.
Would you have left them alone long enough to heat up anything in the microwave?
Certainly wouldn't have gone on a cruise. I can tell you that. I feel bad when I leave my dogs and I don't have someone to sleep with them and they're here, they're like cared for, fed, let out, walked, whatever, but they have to sleep alone. That even gives me horrible guilt. So I can't imagine leaving my kids alone.
Yeah. 29-year-old Lakeisha Woods Williams copped to a charge of carrying a prison term between 6 months and 2 years and a maximum of $10,000 fine. As part of Williams' open plea, she has not reached an agreement with prosecutors as to her possible punishment. Here's a picture of Ms. Williams, who looks like she really does not give an F. Take a look at her right there.
That is definitely a I don't give an F look on her face.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of looks
cute
like,
though.
Yeah. She just kind of looks like,
Yeah.
If they want to stay home, they can. I'm not going to pay for them to go on the cruise. But
I'm just living my best life.
yeah, if they want to work in the galley, they can. They can work off their cruise. Yeah, but otherwise,
That's wild.
I'm just going to give them a couple of fruit roll-ups, and they can watch SpongeBob. So. Williams will be sentenced early next year by a Houston judge following the preparation of a pre-sentence investigation report for which Williams has declined to participate. So she isn't even interested in participating in that. According to investigators, Williams and her children resided in a $3,600 a month apartment. I can't even imagine. On the 21st floor of the luxury McKinley Apartments in Houston. In a court financial affidavit, Williams reported earning $6,000 monthly as a full-time nursing service employee.
Not bad.
That's pretty good change.
She's doing all right. Yeah, she's living in a nice place. She's got good money coming in.
Yeah, she's doing all right for herself.
She just doesn't care much about her children.
Yeah, no, they're in the way. Can't do well in life if you got two kids hanging off your head.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. In April, neighbors spotted Williams leaving the complex with luggage and bags, but not her offspring. A witness who never saw Williams returned to the location called 911, fearing that the children, a boy and his younger sister, were alone. A subsequent police welfare check found the children by themselves in a home that smelled of urine and was in complete disarray and had trash and leftover food all over the unit. Well, the
Poor babies.
Kids made an honest effort to try and eat, right?
They were just trying to take care of themselves.
Where they went to the bathroom was a whole different deal.
I mean, yeah, they should know how to use the toilet, but maybe they just weren't flushing. I don't know. And boys miss. They're just bad at hitting the bowl.
Yeah, they either hit the bowl, hit the couch, hit the chair, wherever we're going, right? The juveniles told cops that their mother went on vacation on a cruise and they did not know when she would return. The boy used a phone to text his mother while she was vacationing, and cops found a webcam that Williams used to watch and talk to the children while she was away. The minors were subsequently released to the custody of their aunt. What is it with women leaving their kids and using webcams to check in? Webcams or FaceTime to check in with their kids?
Yeah, not sufficient.
Thinking, well, I've got technology. That should be good enough.
That's crazy. Like they're so little, 6 and 8.
I don't get it.
They don't even know how to make food, really. They can make maybe toast and eat cereal, but
and thinking, well, if I just yell at them loud enough over technology, they'll get it, right?
that's insane.
Oh,
I mean, really, those women have to have some part of their emotions missing because it's not even a mother instinct. It's just like a human instinct to care about something small.
right.
It's so weird.
Yeah. When contacted by phone, Williams was uncooperative with police. There's a shock. And refused to return to the residence. She was switching up her story on her whereabouts, according to a criminal complaint. Williams, who reportedly cruised to Puerto Rico, has been free on a $25,000 bond since shortly after her April arrest. Upon setting Williams' release terms, a judge called the charged offense egregious. Really? Citing witness accounts, the jurist added that this is not the first time something like this has occurred. Interesting. Well, another story which will prove, Jess, that when it comes to that Yelp review, maybe you should be a little more caring before you put that review down. Just saying. It can actually get you arrested.
What?
Yeah. Well, not in this country, but in other countries. Just be careful of the review you put. I'll explain here in a moment.
Okay, I'm interested.
A British man faces 2 years in a Dubai jail after leaving a negative review of a dog groomer. Are you ready for this?
Does that land one in jail? I'm ready.
Yep. 33-year-old Craig Ballantyne accepted a job at a canine salon in Dubai last year, and he worked for nearly 6 months before taking some days off due to fibromyalgia. A man from the UK is facing 2 years in a Dubai prison after posting a negative review of a dog grooming business he used to work for. 33-year-old Craig Ballantyne from Belfast worked at a canine salon in Dubai for nearly 6 months last year. He was then diagnosed with fibromyalgia and had to take time off of work. Despite providing his employer with a doctor's note, he was reported as absconded by his boss, violating Dubai employment law, according to his lawyers. This resulted in him losing his job and having a travel ban placed on his passport, which took 2 months and thousands of pounds to lift, allowing him to return home to Northern Ireland. Now, after leaving a Google review about the grooming center and his former boss, Craig visited Abu Dhabi for a holiday and was taken to Dubai to face slander charges under the UAE's strict cybercrime laws. He is now stuck in the country, unable to return to his job as an autism support worker, and facing a potential 2-year prison sentence. How's that for being stuck?
That's pretty bad.
Yeah. Rhoda Sterling, who's the CEO of Detained in Dubai, who are trying to help Craig return home, said, "We've seen people arrested for complaining to customer service or for leaving online reviews on hotels and rental car agencies." That's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yep. Local lawyers have reportedly said or told Craig there's almost no chance of the case against him being dropped. So in other words, you're stuck.
That's kind of scary.
When someone is offended, even if they are at fault, they can open a criminal prosecution out of spite. Craig deleted the post, by the way, apologized, but still faces jail. It's outrageous. We've seen people arrested for complaining to customer service or for leaving online reviews on hotels and rental car agencies. The UAE's recently enacted cybercrime laws are a nightmare for foreigners. Explaining the laws, Rada said that people can find themselves in hot water over someone else's indictiveness. He said it is sufficient for a complainant to simply tell police that someone posted something offensive or rude. The police don't even need to see the actual post. The complainants have all the power and often demand money from the accused to close out the case. It's a means for vindictive people to extort. Once a criminal case is won, they can open civil cases for massive damages. The system incentivizes it. Flatmates, coworkers, and even spouses have abused this law, and we find that it's often foreigners who are taken advantage. In this case, both parties are Western, and most people wouldn't dream of opening a similar case in their own countries, but seem quite happy to open them in the UAE. Craig told Miss Sterling in a phone call that his mother was so upset and stressed she thought I was dead. Rada and Detained in Dubai have reached out to Craig's local representative, Michelle O'Neill, to implore her to make diplomatic representations to the UAE's ambassador and FCDO. The Daily Star reached out to Michelle O'Neill, who is also Northern Ireland's first minister and vice president of Sinn Féin. So there you go. If you happen to go to Dubai or have dealings in Dubai, don't leave a negative review anywhere.
Just say nice things.
Just be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you may end up in jail.
What's the point of reviews over there then? Like you can only leave a nice review, so you really don't get a good feeling for what a place is really like.
Even then, I don't know. I don't know that you should write anything or leave a written review. You leave a written review, it could be manipulated. And if it's manipulated, it could end up in jail.
Weird.
Yeah. So I don't know that you should do that.
But here you should do that. Like, especially for us. Like, if you like Darkness Radio, you should go leave a review and see how much you love us.
But if you leave a negative review, I'll have you prosecuted. So, it's just, and I'll just, I'll find a way for them in Abu Dhabi to come after you. So.
Could anyone say anything negative about us, Tim? That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, no, it happens all the time. You ought to see some of them. They're kind of entertaining.
Those people are crazy.
Oh, you said it. I did. Anyway, it's time now for the not safe for work portion of our program. If you're, crazy anyways and don't want to listen, you probably should stick your fingers in your ears and go la 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 la. Or if you're at work, you probably want to put your earbuds in at this point and probably not listen around the boss. That wouldn't be a good deal. That might get you in trouble. If you're around kids, I don't know why the kids are listening at this point either. It's probably not a good idea, but you probably want to put your earbuds in too and not listen around the children. With that in mind, we'll give you till 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's time now to get dirty. Here we go. We're going, I believe, to Florida for this first one, Jess. In fact, we're going to Lakeland, Florida, where 20 massage therapists in Polk County are accused of offering sex acts to undercover detectives during a 2-day sting called Operation Skin So Soft.
Oh, I like the name of that.
Right. I'll give you a few clues as to how they got that skin so soft. According to the Polk County Sheriff's Office, undercover detectives went to several massage parlors in the Davenport, Dundee, Lakeland, and Winter Haven areas of Polk County to purchase lawful massages from licensed massage therapists. Oh, but it got better.
I can't imagine.
Of the 22 massage parlors that were audited, Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd, can you imagine having to rub down old Grady?
He does sound a little old with a name like Grady.
Like Grady Judd? I was just wondering if you'd rub me down. Said 12 were not in compliance out of the 22 with the law. Judd said that those parlors were also doing things that were illegal, such as prostitution. In addition to the 20 massage therapists who were arrested, another woman was arrested for interfering while deputies were arresting someone else. To be a fly on the wall while that was happening.
Oh, I wish I could.
Yeah. According to the sheriff, all the women arrested were Asian. 3 were U.S. citizens, and the rest are all here on work visas. I don't think...
Not anymore.
Not anymore. No. I don't think the federal government had in mind that kind of work when they gave them a work visa, but they're here anyway, stated Judd. Oh, Grady. Judd said his agency will work with the federal government to revoke the visas. We want them back in their home country if they're not citizens of the United States. Grady said, quote, "You come here, you even legally come here, and you violate the law. You should have lost our trust at the federal level, and you should be returned to your home country." That was a quote from Grady. He added that the oldest woman arrested was 64. The youngest was 31.
Oh, 64 and rubbing people down with oil. You go, girl.
And maybe doing more.
Yeah.
Just saying. Sometimes grandma's got to earn that money. Just saying. Judd said that one of the women was from Lakeland, but others said they travel around. It appears that all the ladies are on a circuit, Judd explained. They don't stay here for any lengthy period of time. During a press conference on Thursday morning, the sheriff spoke of a 37-year-old woman who charged an undercover deputy $60 for a massage, but tried to have full sex with the detective. She stood in front of the door, so he couldn't leave. And then she tried to hold him down, Judd explained. She wasn't
she was assaulting him.
Right. Listen to this quote, though, Jess. She wasn't as big as a popcorn fart, and she was trying to hold this man down. That's a direct
Was that
Grady.
Grady said that? Oh, I like Grady. I could hang out with him.
Yep. Judd said the detective didn't say anything to her about illegal massages or sex. According to the sheriff, another 64-year-old woman wanted $80 for a 1-hour massage. However, he said she came out with oil and turned the lights down and started massaging the undercover detective in areas that constituted illegal contact and conduct.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine being the undercover agents? Like, this is your job. You have to go in there and be rubbed down.
Where do I sign up?
Another day at work. Oh.
The undercover deputy said repeatedly he just wanted a massage. He's like, hey, whoa, time out. Easy there, kid. The sheriff cautioned customers who go to these establishments because someone may be video recording it. Stay out of these places, Judd warned. We continuously audit these places to make sure they are complying with the law. He went on to say, if you're going there and they were very comfortable and engaged in this conduct without any prompting, hey, your picture can be up on the next board too, but it's a choice. And if it's up there, I don't want to hear any whining and complaining because I stood here and I gave you a warning today. Ooh, Grady, so forceful.
He's not kidding.
Right. Judd added that the majority of these massage parlors follow the law. He said there are new regulations that require the massage parlor to keep a record of who they do a massage on and who does the massage. Judd said that regulatory charges would likely be filed because a lot of the businesses weren't keeping records. The suspects were arrested at the massage parlors. Oh, it lists the massage parlors, but I won't go into massage parlors where a lot of, put it this way, you'd love the pronunciations if I tried to jump into them. There's easy ones like the Top Oasis Massage and Spa in Lakeland, but then there's massage parlors like Shi Zing Zhang. Nailed that one, so to speak.
Yeah.
Or Hung Jia Sok.
Sounds kind of sexy.
It does, doesn't it?
It sounds sexual.
The Zhu Ling Lu. The Feng Hua Jiang.
Oh, that one didn't turn me on at all.
No.
No.
Jing Feng Mu. Sounds like stuff I order off the menu at my local
I was
Chinese.
gonna say, yeah, it sounds like something that I get a fortune cookie with at the end.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a happy ending at the end of most of them. There you go. Our next story has to do with a 27-year-old man who was arrested on a lap dance larceny charge.
Wow, a lap dance larceny charge. I cannot wait to hear this.
That's right. We're going to meet Muhammad Abdullah Alabilan. The 27-year-old Pennsylvania man was arrested on a petty theft charge for allegedly stealing a lap dance. I didn't know there
Stole it.
I didn't know there were charges for that.
He stole it and then he set it on. Oh, wait. What was I thinking? Larceny was setting something on fire.
No, that's arson, dear.
So I was all excited to hear about him like setting the lap on fire. Okay, never mind. I get it. He stole it. I'm like, he stole it and then he set it on fire?
Whoosh.
This is way more exciting in my brain.
Hey, I'm thinking now throwing fireballs on the laps. That's much more exciting than what I had in front of me.
I'm like, the dude's a fire-breathing dragon. This is crazy. What's happening right now? Never mind. He stole a lap dance. Son of a gun.
Does this guy look like a fire-breathing dragon to you?
He does not.
No, not absolutely not. No.
He looks kind of like that dog. The eyes, the droopy eyes. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Droopy?
Think of it. I'll think of it when we're done here.
Are you talking about the dog that talks like this?
Yes, I am. That's the one. That's what his eyes reminded me of.
Huh. Okay. Alabilan, cops say, was buying a service from a woman inside a Florida strip club. That's right. We're staying in Florida. When he refused to pay the $40 service fee. Alabilan sought to leave the Rain nightclub. That's Rain as in R-E-I-G-N, not rain as in, making it rain. In Clearwater, Florida, without paying for the 2:45 a.m. private dance. He was out late. Yeah.
Or early.
Yeah, he was up early. That's right, Jess. He's an early riser. He's up before 2 a.m. He just decided, before I get my morning coffee, I need to get my lap dance in.
Yep. Everyone has a morning routine, Tim.
Well, he had a bit of morning wood and needed to work it off. So he just went down to the Rain nightclub.
Oh, my.
Oh, he looked so sleepy in the picture. He just
woke up.
Yeah. He's a paper boy by trade. So he needed to, he needed to get up.
Either that or he's making the donuts.
Yes, yeah, he's working down at Dunkin', right? A deputy collared Alabilan after being told by a club manager that the patron had not paid the $40. Charged with misdemeanor theft, Alabilan was booked into the county jail, from which he was released after posting, of course, $40 bond. So he didn't pay for the lap dance, but he posted $40 bond to get out.
Paid for it anyway.
A judge had ordered him to stay away from Rain, which features 55 televisions, 3 full liquor bars, 30 private dance rooms, and several VIP suites. Sounds like a nice place.
It does.
Yeah. Alabilan received a bachelor's degree earlier this year from Alvernia University, a private Franciscan school in Reading, Pennsylvania. Sounds like he could probably afford the $40.
I think so. I'm confused by his decision-making process here, but that's 99% of our stories.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, you're right about that. We go from eschewing the $40 for a lap dance to making more than $40 making sex tapes. We go to Equatorial Guinea, where the civil servants are making bank at their second jobs.
Oh.
Yeah. We go to Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, where hundreds of sex tapes involving a high-ranking Equatorial Guinea civil servant with other men's wives have done the rounds on social media. That's right, Jess.
Oh my.
Let me show you what studs in Equatorial Guinea look like. They look like this.
Hottie.
Yeah, a little hottie, isn't he? You know
He
who
looks smart.
You know what he kind of looks like? Kind of looks like Urkel all grown up.
He does a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, doesn't he?
If we could see his posture and the way he has his pants hiked up, it might be him. Ed Ringer.
He's got a little suit on, right?
Yep.
Did I do her? Kind of got that look. Yeah. Just saying. So the civil servants are doing other men's wives, and the tape is doing the round on social media, prompting the authorities to attempt to curb their spread. I mean, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Figuratively speaking.
Yeah, relatively speaking. In the videos, the married director of the National Financial Investigation Agency, or ANIF, Baltazar Ibang Nganga, that's his name, Baltazar Ibang Nganga, is seen in, I can't say that. That's going to make me giggle. in flagrante with various partners, including the wives of prominent officials at his office in the finance ministry. In other words, they is doing it.
Okay, so that's the guy that was doing this.
That was the guy who making the tapes.
He looks so unassuming, you would never think.
That's why I'm like, I can't say that. I can't, because now I have the image.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just 2 bald heads rocking in the breeze. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. In the video, I said that already. On Monday, the country's vice president, Teodoro Nguma Obiang Mangue, announced on X that the government would order the immediate suspension of all civil servants who had sexual relations in the offices of the ministry, as this constitutes a flagrant violation of the Code of Conduct and the law on public ethics. It's not the first time, by the way, that sex tapes involving civil servants have been leaked on social media, but the affair has blown up to unprecedented proportions due to the notoriety of the officials involved. Last week, Obiang said that he had given 24 hours notice to Equatorial Guinea's telecommunications ministry, regulator, and telephone companies to curb the distribution of pornographic videos that are flooding social networks in Equatorial Guinea. A whole 24 hours, huh? As the government, we cannot continue to see families destroyed, said the vice president in charge of defense and security. According to accounts first spread by WhatsApp groups and then posted to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X, Iganga shot more than 400 pornographic videos in his office.
Dang, boy.
That begs the question, when did any work get done?
Yeah, that's a full-time job right there.
It is. I mean, 400 videos.
I'm exhausted just thinking about that.
When did the guy sleep? Just wondering. Nicknamed Bello on account of his good looks, Ibang Iganga is a married father and son of Baltazar Iganga Edjo, the current chairman of the Commission on Central African Economic and Monetary Community. He is also related to the country's long-serving president. Whoops. The sex tapes were leaked on social networks at a time when he had been remanded in custody at Malabo's infamous Black Beach prison in a case of embezzlement of public funds, according to state television station TVGE. Equatorial Guinea's chief prosecutor, Anatolio Nzang Nguma, assured TVGE that if medical examinations revealed that Ibang Iganga was infected with a sexually transmitted disease, he would be prosecuted for an offense against public health.
Whoa. I mean, fair.
Yeah, well, 400 videos, I suppose. He's spreading it like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, but also like that's illegal. I mean, it should be. I like it, but is it? I mean, willing partnerships,
Yeah, well, yeah.
willing participants.
You get what you pay for, right?
That's right. You get what you get.
You get what you get. The flow of internet traffic, and in particular, the downloading of images, has been severely disrupted in the country after the authorities took measures to curb the sex tape spread, witnesses told AFP. Social media is awash with speculation that more videos involving other individuals, both men and women, could be released in the next few days. So this is kind of like their viral download over there. They're looking forward to the next release, so to speak.
I'm cracking up that they keep calling it the sex tape spread too. That sounds like a position.
Doesn't it? It's their favorite position in the video.
Yes.
They're like,
wild stuff.
would you like to see the sex tape spread?
I can't believe they're so kinky. That guy did not look. I'm shocked. He looked very unassuming. I just will say, looked like an accountant or something.
Very bookwormish. I mean,
Yeah.
this guy doesn't look like he's filmed 400 videos, right?
No.
No. He looks like he barely films home movies.
I wonder what his persona is when he's making them. Does he like keep the glasses on and look all studious, or does he like come out like,
Does he keep the glasses on?
He-Man or something, some alter ego?
Pizza guy. Would you like to see the sausage?
That could be. Wild.
It's probably just 400 videos of the pizza guy. Is probably what it is.
Just the pizza guy.
Yeah. Do you think?
I bet he mixes it up. Sometimes I bet he's a surgeon.
Oh.
Sometimes he's probably a police officer.
Worker at McDonald's.
Nothing says sexy like a worker at McDonald's.
A worker at McDonald's. Would you like to see my old beef patty?
Only if they wear the hat. It's a little visor, right? Do they still have the visor?
I think so, yeah.
Or was that like 1990s called and wants their visor back? Because I had a visor when I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken. I just assume all fast food places have visors.
Well, they don't have like the little pointy hat, right? Like the Krispy Kreme hat, like the little.
No, yeah.
They don't have those anymore.
I liked the visor because then you could do your hair around it. And I would have, the big 90s hair with all the curls.
Yeah.
So you could be pretty sexy in a visor if you're filming a porn as a fast food worker.
Well, you turn the visor around, your hair can hang in your face. I don't know. I don't know. Gotta be. I got no.
There's ways.
There's ways. Yeah. The visor. It's funny that the visor is the thing you're thinking about. Dear God. Oh, let's see. We're almost out of the woods here as far as not safe for work stuff. Let's see here. We've got one more story, and then we've got a bit of a palate cleanser. It's still in the not safe for work vein, but I said vein and we just talked about porn.
There's nothing you can say right now that isn't going to sound pornish.
I know, right? Pornish. Is that European as well? We still stick to Europe as this next story, which comes up on my having a hard time getting it to come up on my iPad here.
See, having a hard time getting it up. That's all I heard.
See? Just 1 second here. Let's see here. All right. Our next story has to do with a man who exposed himself to women outside a kebab shop after being taunted about the size of his manhood.
Oh, he's feeling insecure about his kebab.
That's right. You know, if you're comparing yourself to the size of your kebab,
You're always going to be disappointed. Kebabs are huge.
That's right. That's right. Especially if you're talking about your kebab with the ladies. I'm just saying. The 33-year-old defendant accepts that he made a drunken mistake outside Big Daddy's Kebab Takeaway.
At least he's owning it. I shouldn't have done that. That was a bad choice.
Big Daddy's Kebab Takeaway. By the way, have you ever seen what's the name of that show on HBO? The two musicians, and I can't think of it right now, but they always talk about a kebab.
No, I don't know that.
Oh my God, now I can't think of the name of it. And then someone's going to email me and remind me, and it's going to be next week, and then the joke will be gone.
But Big Daddy's Kebab, that's definitely the name of a porn film.
That is, isn't it?
It has to be.
And it probably was filmed in Guinea.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that guy with the glasses.
And the visor.
And the visor. Yeah, yeah. How would you like a taste of Big Daddy's Kebab? See, it all fits.
Yes.
So to speak. I don't know.
I love it.
Yeah. A man exposed himself to women outside a kebab takeaway. That's how they say it in New Zealand, you know, a kebab. It's not a kebab, it's a kebab.
Oh, is that their accent coming through, or is just
Yeah, it's the accent. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, we say kebab, but it's kebab over there. I don't know.
Does it have an A in it or an O?
It's an A. It's
Oh.
yeah. But we
say it wrong.
Yeah, we do say it wrong. It's a
We
kebab.
say a lot of things wrong.
Yeah, I know. I saw a whole thing with Gallagher about how one is not one. It's really an oni because it's an O-N-E.
Yeah.
How school should be shul.
Yes, we have so many words like that. I'm always astounded by people who can learn English as their second language because our language has all these rules, but they don't apply all the time.
Right. See? I get it. But yeah, kebab. They say, and I always thought it was weird that they said kebab, but it's kebab.
I'm going to start saying kebab. I'm going to say it right now.
There you go, kebab. We'll just start saying kebab. We'll drive people nuts with it. We'll get emails. They'll say it's kebab, but no, kebab. So a man exposed himself to women outside a kebab takeaway after they taunted him about the size of his manhood. A court has heard. Abdul Rahim briefly pulled down the front of his trousers outside of Swansea's Big Daddy's Takeaway. First of all, the fact that you have a kebab restaurant called Big Daddy's Takeaway just screams the fact that you're inadequate.
Yeah.
You know?
It was his takeaway or his kebab place?
No,
He
no, no,
owned it?
no, no, no.
Oh, he was just a client.
patron.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just a
Just
patron. He just,
just a patron with a small weenie,
yeah. And well, we don't
allegedly.
allegedly he felt inadequate. He was drunk. He was drunk. He was probably on the prowl, Jess, and he was probably looking for something to eat.
And it was probably cold. It's called shrinkage. It's not his fault.
Well, he wanted a little kebab action. Kebab action, by the way, is the name of the 350th porn film made in Guinea.
Oh my.
So he's over there getting a little kebab action at Swansea's Big Daddy's Takeaway. He now calls that act a drunken mistake. The 33-year-old defendant has now been placed on the sex offenders register, and the judge at Swansea Crown Court said the case was an example of how actions undertaken while under the influence of drink or drugs can have life-changing consequences for people. No doubt, really.
Yeah.
Craig Jones, who was prosecuting, said the incident happened in the early hours of the morning of August 13th last year on Swansea's Wind Street. He said the defendant and the complainants in the case had encountered each other in a Wind Street club earlier that night when he had tried to talk to the women and hug them. What? Huh?
Hands off. I just came for a kebab.
Well, I mean, okay, so even if you're in a club, like, you're and you're dancing, right? I mean, I know nobody dances like this, right? But you're in a club and you're doing the Charleston or the whoop-de or whatever you're doing in the club. Right.
Right. All the stuff we're going to be doing on Friday. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The Watusi or whatever you're doing in the club, right? And you go, give me a hug. Who does that?
No, the drunk guy, the really drunk guy with the small penis.
God, I guess. How come you just can't say, yeah, great to meet you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you
Or
got to
just don't say anything. Just get your kebab. Carry on.
get your kebab? Go get your after club kebab, right? Anyway, so he tried to talk to the women and hug them, but they had made it clear that they did not want to interact them. So if they put the hand and they go, talk to the hand, right?
Yeah.
No hugs. Okay. So that's where it should have stopped. That's where the interaction stops, right? By chance, the parties met again outside the nearby Big Daddy's Takeaway. After leaving the club, where words were exchanged, Raheem responded by briefly lowering the front of his trousers in front of the woman to show his Big Daddy, if you know what I mean, which wasn't so big. Yes, he went and showed his penis. The matter was reported to police, and when the defendant was arrested, he was found to be carrying a small quantity of cocaine.
Oh, well.
He was a little fired.
Okay.
Yeah, a little fired up. Abdul Rahim of Griffith John Street, Difati, Swansea, had previously pleaded guilty to exposure and possession of cocaine on the day of the trial when he appeared in the dock for sentencing. The plea to the exposure charge was on the basis that he had consumed a lot of alcohol on the night in question, and that outside Big Daddy's, the girls had shouted and pointed at him and told him he had a small penis while making hand gestures, indicating the same. So they were like,
Oh, was not meant very nice. Would have declined the hug, but I wouldn't have made fun of his penis.
yeah. I mean, you go so far, right?
Be nice.
He said he responded by briefly pulling the front of his trousers down, going, oh, I don't have a small one. Look. Right?
It's huge.
It's huge. It's a Big Daddy kebab. Right. So that's what got him in trouble. Alicia Karpanini for Raheem said the defendant grew up in Afghanistan and had post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of childhood trauma, including the death of his father at the hands of the Taliban when he was just 6 years old. She said in her submission it was clear from CCTV footage in the area that the females in question were not caused great distress by the incident. And she said the defendant accepted he had done the wrong thing and made a drunken mistake in reacting to being taunted in the way that he had. The barrister added that Abdul Rahim had been forced to give up his job in an Aldi supermarket due to being on a tag while awaiting sentence, but was keen to find alternate employment. What does post-traumatic stress disorder have to do with whipping out your wang and testing this
Some
out?
would argue not much.
Right?
Yeah, I think it was just a poor choice made under the influence of alcohol and potentially cocaine.
My dad died at the hands of the Taliban. Check out the size of my meat. Those two don't correspond.
No.
Yeah. Judge Geraint Walters said on the night in question, the defendant had taken too much drink and reacted to aggressive finger pointing and hand gestures made by the two females by momentarily pulling down the front of his trousers. He said the case illustrated how actions taken when people are drunk or haven't taken drugs can have life-changing consequences. Rahim was made the subject of an 18-month community order and was ordered to complete a rehabilitation course. The defendant will be a registered sex offender for the next 5 years. Well, he got what was coming, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah. Keep it in your pants in front of the kebab shop.
That's right.
That's all we're asking. There you go. All right. Our palate cleanser, so to speak, has to do with the pub.
Okay.
Be careful what you name your pub, Jess.
Okay.
Make it evergreen, because you never know what you name your pub now may be in 100 years, which you may have to change the name of your pub because it may offend somebody.
Oh, okay. That's true.
Right? This particular pub was forced to change its name after people complained that it's too offensive. Now, this pub is over, of course, in England. It's in Abingdon, Oxfordshire. It's owned by the Green King chain. More than 1,000 people signed a petition to rename the pub. The pub was started by Dr. Aaron Pritchard, a disability lecturer at Liverpool Hope University. This particular lecturer has dwarfism. The name of the pub? Name of the pub is called The Midget. After an iconic MG car, that's what it was named after.
Oh.
Okay?
So midget didn't always mean
little people.
What? Yeah, right.
Right. It was named after a car, an iconic MG car. Okay. Now, and the guy who named the pub, Dr. Aaron Pritchard, was a disability lecturer from Liverpool Hope University who had dwarfism. Now, the pub will close for a 6-figure refurbishment this month and reopen in December as the Roaring Raindrop, another historic MG car, Green King confirmed. It's understood that the pub, which opened in 1974, again, a more, how would you put it, Jess?
A different time.
Tone-deaf time. It was a tone-deaf time. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Was previously called the Magic Midget after the MG X127 car. The Magic Midget.
I mean, at least it's got magic with it. I'd like to be magic.
Me too. Although we could argue the guy in the previous story could have been nicknamed the Magic Midget too. Just saying. You never know. Nicknamed the Magic Midget and built at the town's former MG factory. So it was in the town's factory where it was built.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
The car broke the world land speed record of 120 miles an hour in 1932.
Impressive. That's
Yeah.
a fast little car.
Yeah. The MG EX 181 Roaring Raindrop, meanwhile, broke a land speed record in 1957 while driven by Sir Sterling Moss. It then beat its own record when another attempt was made by American Phil Hill in 1959. In the petition, Dr. Pritchard said that Green King should recognize the offense of the term and its implications, meaning midget.
Right.
Dr. Pritchard, who spoke with Green King about the matter, said the term midget is a form of disablest hate speech, which I and most other people with dwarfism have experienced as a form of bullying, including having it shouted at us by strangers. It is a term that should be consigned to the history books. Speaking about the refurb and name change, Zoe Bowley, managing director of Green King Pubs, said, "Pubs are at the heart of communities and are all about bringing people together. I would like to thank the MG Car Club for welcoming us to their headquarters in Abingdon to explain the history of both cars and their importance to the area. This really helped us to see that the new name needed to pay tribute to another icon of Abingdon and continue to tell an important story that the MG factory played in this town is appreciated." She said the Green King was grateful to Dr. Pritchard, who has engaged with the chain on the offense and hurt that the name midget can cause. We hope that making the change in this way helps preserve our pub's historic link to Abington's past, which simultaneously ensures our pub can be a place where everyone feels welcome. Andy Knott, MG Car Club manager, said, "For the MG Car Club, it was essential to preserve the pub's connection to the marquee. With MG moving to Abington in 1929 and building iconic cars for 50 years, it has become a significant part of the town's history. The name MG still draws thousands of enthusiasts to Abington each year." So that iconic pub will now become the Roaring Raindrop. So there you go.
Which I think is a really cool name. I like it better than the midget.
Yeah, there you go. So see, happy endings all the way around.
We're back to the happy endings, are we, Tim?
Well, I mean, it all came full circle.
Full circle, Cupcake.
I see what you did there. That's a callback to earlier in the.
Oh, all the stories.
Yeah, but that's just a friend term, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, cupcake. Yeah,
Like sugar buns.
Yeah,
That's your other nickname, Tim.
Yeah, sugar buns is my other nickname. So there you go. All right. Well, that does it for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. I know there's all kinds of stuff going on. By the way, not only do we have the trip going on this weekend, but you got a little book release going on this week, don't you?
Yes, I have another book coming out. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So
it comes out on the 12th. So today, when you're listening.
So that's right. So tell us a little bit about the book.
Okay. It's the first book I ever wrote. And there's a long story behind me taking the book rights back. But long story short, it was out for only like 4 months or so when I took the rights back. And then it didn't really have a home for the last decade. So the agent has been kind of sitting with it. And we had someone reach out asking for foreign rights. And we're like, well, if it's going to be foreign, we might as well also have it in English. So
there you go.
It's coming out. It's just a story about a girl who sees dead people, loosely based on my personal experiences. And she solves a murder mystery in her community. I love it. It's my favorite story. And it will be a series, so there will be more.
There you go. And the name of it again is?
The Homecoming, a Vivian Bennett mystery.
Nice. All right. So there you go. And we'll have a link to your website so that people can go and order it. So there you go. Right.
Yeah, order it. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, wherever you like to get books.
There you go. There you go. All right. All right. So tomorrow on the big program, we have Supernatural News. And then Thursday, if you want your little tease.
Yes, please.
All right. So here we go. Horns. That's your subject. Although we're not talking quite about the devil, but maybe a symbol of the devil.
Yeah. Interested.
Yeah. And why this so-called symbol of the devil may not be exactly what you think it is.
Thinking of all my devil symbols now. I know so many.
Yeah. But we have a friend of the program coming on. And she, there's your clue.
A little more clues, a little more clues.
Will be talking to us about her brand new book having to do with this symbol of the devil.
Very cool. I know it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah. So that is what's up for Thursday. So big week this week. Yep.
Bringing us the good stuff, Tim.
Yes, indeed. So there you go. That's what's going on this week. So that'll do it for today. I want to thank Jess for joining us this week. Again, big trip this weekend. And we'll let you know next week about what all goes on at the Palmer. We'll have a little review next Tuesday. It's going to be fun.
It'll be fun.
That's right.
Thanks.
That's right. Yeah. So that'll do it for Jessica Freeberg. I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for joining us on the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday.
For more audio and video archives of True Crime Tuesday, intriguing content, and cool swag, please check out darknessradioshow.com. Thank you for watching. And for those veterans of all service branches out there, from us here at Darkness Radio, we sincerely thank you each and every day for your service to this great country.